Hi, Hunters. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into Season 4, Episode 10, Heaven and Hell.
This was a very dramatic episode.
Yeah, really dramatic.
So I did something unusual for me. Like we've been on holiday. In the real world, we're gonna have been back working for a while when this episode actually comes out. But in now time, when we're recording this, we recently had time off. And for the recordings that we've been doing over our time off, I've been putting in very low effort. Like usually anyone who's looked at my show notes will realize that I will do like 45 pages of research for a 20-minute conversation. It is a problem. Okay. I have sometimes had notes that I feel like are like 100 pages long. It's stupid. So I've been reining myself in and being like, it's not that serious, Joy. It's not that serious. And so, like, for a lot of these, I just don't really have notes. I've just been pulling up the transcript on Supernatural Wiki and going along and giving my thoughts. So I haven't, like, written out jokes like I normally would. I've just been letting myself watch the episodes and then just react honestly. And because of that, I have a lot less distance. Like, I feel like when I'm watching it to critique it, well, not to specifically critique it, but when I'm watching it to analyze it, I have this like distance. I have this like analytical academic distance from it. And when I'm just watching it and flying by the seat of my pants, I don't have that distance and it hits me a lot harder in the feelings. And these episodes, I'm realizing I haven't rewatched a lot. Like
the last episode and this one.
Yeah, I haven't watched these that much. So there's a lot more like, whoa, jump scare, or like, I don't remember this at all. Like, I did not remember that Anna's an angel. In my head, I was like, wait, is she one of the demon babies?
Yeah,
or I
she
thought
had
maybe she was going to
powers.
be, I thought maybe she's going to be a witch or something, but no, she's an angel. Spoiler alert. Like, I was like, I don't remember this at all. And then she and Dean get it on, and I was like, I really don't remember this that much.
I thought they were sweet together.
No, I thought it was nice, but like also, I have mixed feelings about this episode because it was really nice, and seeing Anna and Angel give Dean this lesson in like self-forgiveness and love was really cool. I really enjoyed a lot of what she had to say about humanity, like the good and the bad of it. I thought that was very, very cool. But the romance in this episode felt really forced to me because the episode climax, like the story arc, is so fast. Even though it's a two-parter, we barely know her. And she has such a dramatic story arc. Yeah. It feels really different from like when Sam and Dean rock up in a town and then one of them connects with a pretty girl and there's chemistry and it's cool. Like it feels different. It felt to me like there should have been more to it. And I really like the episode. It scared me a lot. Like the scare rating on this one is a lot higher for me because of Alistair and like Ruby being tortured and all of these other things.
Yeah, he's horrible.
Yeah, it's super scary. So it was like this yo-yoing back and forth between being terrified and this interesting romance, but then I felt like it was too short, it was too rushed. Like it felt like it felt when you're a kid and you smash Barbies together and you're like, these two are in love, they're kissing, they're married now. It kind of felt like that a little bit low-key.
See, to me it didn't feel that strange because it was like I just saw it as they think they're about to die.
Yeah, so they get it on.
Which
and that's
to me
real.
seems, and it wasn't like they were in love or anything. It was just we're gonna die. Do you want to do it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And that felt like something Dean would do anyway.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't mind it. I liked it, and I actually think they were quite sweet.
No, see, this is the thing: is I do really like them. It's just like what gets me is it felt like to me the romance in the story arc with like Joe or I was totally just thinking of another Dean girl, Jamie, because that episode is so short. Monster movie is short. Like it's not a two-parter, but it felt like Dean and Jamie make so much sense, and maybe that's what's like holding me back. Maybe it's because Dean and Jamie work so well. I'm like, this feels like it's coming from left field. I don't know, because the chemistry between them is great. the scenes are great. The line is great. Like the way that they're impacting each other and helping each other, and it's beautiful. Like, it's not that I don't like it, and I'm not against them as a couple. I kind of love them as a couple. I think it's cool. I just felt like there should have been more. I was like, where's the rest of this? Where's the rest of these pages? Show me more. It's kind of like when Laura was talking about how she really wanted to see what happened for the rest of Ruby and Bobby's day together. It sort of feels like that to me. It feels like there are pages missing. It feels like there are scenes that I should have seen. And you could argue that good writing will leave you wanting more, because it's not that I don't like the episode. It's not that I don't like the romance. That's definitely not it. It's just I feel like there's more to the story, and I feel entitled to have seen it. You know?
Yeah.
It feels like the storyline is so short.
You're definitely not alone, because there was lots of people on IMDb when I was reading some of the reviews that said the same thing.
Cool. It's nice to know that I'm not out here on a little island alone. Being like, wait, what else?
I liked this episode though. I thought it was very dramatic, obviously, but
For sure.
it was very main storyline as well. But the dates of the episode, it makes sense because this was just before the Christmas break. So there was like a month off between this episode and the next one. So it was kind of like, it's kind of got season finale kind of vibes, hasn't it?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That also might be why I do not remember it hardly at all. Like, I remembered Ruby's parts from this more than I remembered anything else. So like,
yeah,
I love you, Genevieve.
Alistair is really
cool.
Scary.
Alistair is so scary.
He's like, I think I compare him to Hannibal Lecter later in my notes, because he was like in the torture scene.
There's okay. His accent goes from kind of a southern drawl into an imitation of Hannibal, like Silence of the Lambs, like the exact cadence. And I was like, ooh, what's happening here? And I thought it was an odd choice, but then also I was like, oh, it works really well. It's really, really scary.
Yeah,
but I was like,
scary.
Excuse me, does anyone else realize that this man's entire dialect just changed?
I didn't notice that, but
it was a real big turn, because initially he was like, well, I'm wearing a pediatrician. And it wasn't quite like that, like campy Southern, but it was Southern. Okay, I was a Southerner. It was Southern. And then he was like, I ate his liver with a Chianti. Kind of I don't know, it was a dramatic shift. And I was like, are we allowing this? What? But also, thank you and good job. You know? I don't know. I was stunned.
Yeah. I had a fun fact for the preamble as well, which is that it's IMDb, as all my fun facts usually are. The episode title was Hell's Angels until a few days before airing, but it was changed because the Hell's Angels Motorcycle Corporation didn't like it, because they had.
I was gonna say, I bet they had an opinion.
They had a notice of trademark infringement from them, so I had to change. I like Heaven and Hell because also we were talking, I don't know, a few episodes ago about how they're obviously setting up like an angels versus demons thing, and we kind of got that kind of angels versus demons. Well, we did get that angels.
I like the Godzilla references.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Didn't Dean make the same reference like back in? It might have even been like early season 1. What's the one with the kid and the lake? Is that the one with the kid where you said that you think the kid was autistic? And doesn't he make a Godzilla reference to Dean, and Dean's like, oh yeah, I know that, or something?
Oh yeah, I do think that happened.
Dead in the Water.
Dead in the Water, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I think there is one.
I feel like there was a Mothra and Godzilla?
Godzilla, yeah. Could be. Like, I don't specifically remember it, but it'd be very in character.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. My slightly unfun fact, but it's something that I wanted to talk about on the podcast because I was just taken aback, was friends of ours in the supernatural community have been talking about instances. I'm going to say reported instances because I haven't seen firsthand footage of this, And I also haven't seen the comments thread of this. I've just heard about it secondhand. But I would consider these people to be reliable sources. So I feel like it's something that actually happened, you know? But I need to talk about it. Which was that apparently on the 20th anniversary tour, Jensen's had this thing that he does forever where he uses his own personal style to differentiate from the character that he's just played. And I think a lot of actors do this for multiple reasons, but like it just lets you be yourself, like you step outside of the character. So whenever Supernatural was on a break, there came a point where he started growing a beard, and it was like his hiatus beard, and it separated him from Dean, right? And so now where he's playing Mark Meacham, and Meacham has the beard, he shaved when he was on hiatus. So he turns up to the con and he shaved his beard off. And apparently these fucking women were saying things like that he didn't look good without the beard, or like that he'd aged badly, or like just mean comments, like just shitty stuff.
Even though he didn't have a beard when he was Dean and they liked him then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like time has passed, but I've seen the footage of him at this con, shaved, etc., and he looks gorgeous, like how he always looks.
Yeah.
I have no idea where this started or who said this, but like a couple of pals of ours on IG have been doing things like making reels, like saying that they'd seen threads of people talking about it and like bashing his appearance or whatever, and that was absolutely unacceptable. And I've seen a couple of other posts from people that I don't know talking about it, saying similar things.
Yeah. I don't understand why people feel the need to comment on people's appearances anyway.
Firstly,
it's like he's not there for you. He's not there to look good for you. He's there to do his
But see,
job.
I wanted to bring it up because it reminds me of the level of delusional reaction that we saw from women in the fandom to actresses playing Ruby.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
Yeah, because we both know that both Jen and why am I blanking on her name? Katie Cassidy, I love her. That Katie Cassidy and Jen got so much hate from the fandom. Yeah. Like basically any actress that played opposite a Winchester and they had a romantic relationship, they got hate from what I could see. But specifically, Katie and Jen got a lot of hate, and it's so uncalled for and shitty and gross. And there's just a lot of sexism and a lot of misogyny. And I do think that in general, women tend to have it worse, but like this is a good example of like men also being pressured about their appearance. Either way. Yeah. Like it's not right either way.
He's entitled to do what he wants, and if he wants to make a difference between him and his character for his own, like, you know, so he can actually do his job properly, then who cares?
Like that's my assumption, because like I know he said that about like why he did the hiatus beard, because I've seen those clips. I don't know if that's why. I assume that's why he shaved now, because he's no longer
or maybe he just wanted to change.
And he's also going in. Yeah, and he's going into filming the Vault Rising stuff as well, I believe. So like I don't know if he needed to do that for that part, because it's set in a different time period. But like
that's the other thing. Like he could be doing it for another job.
Yeah,
and it's no one's business anyway.
It's his body. It's his choice. Okay, like it's our bodies. It's our choice. It's his body. It's his choice. Like
I don't really understand what's wrong with some people.
I don't either. Like I know that we all have different opinions on stuff or whatever, but like the man is aging like fine wine. Okay, he is aging like fine wine. He is gorgeous. He will always be gorgeous. And I'm just like, I am confused by the comments, because it's like, who the fuck are you looking at? Because we're not looking at the same person. That's number one. And number two is that it's just a shitty thing to do. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And how would you feel if somebody walked up to you on the street and said, oh, I don't like the way that you're aging or whatever, or I don't like you changed your hair and I don't like it. Like, that's what abusive people say in relationships.
Yeah. No one needs to comment on anyone's appearance.
No, they do not.
I mean, I know we do in the podcast sometimes, but they're characters.
We comment about lookalikes, and we comment about descriptions of specifically characters and not actors. We differentiate. And a lot of it is just us thirsting over hot people, specifically me. I am being the token bisexual. Like, I am living down to the stereotype. But it is what it is. Like, it's not, I don't feel that we are negative.
No.
In our assessments. And that's what this is purely, is like, it was definitely all negative.
It's that whole thing as well of, if someone can't change something that you're about to point out in the next 20 seconds, then don't mention it. Don't say anything. It's like when people comment on people's weight and stuff like that. It's like, if they can't change it, shut up, because you're just going to make them feel bad.
And for what reason? Nice to say, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It's giving like bitchy, jealous high school girl.
It really
from grown women.
Yeah, and I'm very disappointed in us as a gender currently.
Yeah.
Because all the comments that I've seen have been coming from women, and it's just like, ew, why? Why are you like this? Like, surely your experience in this world has taught you what it's like. Like, why would you mirror that out into the world?
Yeah.
He's not your husband. He's not your boyfriend. So it's none of your business.
I think sometimes people are a bit delusional, though, aren't they?
Delulu, yeah. They live in
I mean,
in
I know I'm new
denial.
to this fandom. I don't want to anger anyone, but, you know.
Well, here's the thing.
It comes across that way sometimes. People.
I feel like this supernatural fandom in general is full of lovely people who have their heads screwed on straight. But there is a minority of people who are living in the land of Dean is their boyfriend and Dean is real and Jensen's not even a real person. He's just like a mask for Dean, and they're in some kind of relationship with him, and it's funny when they say that he should have a beard or whatever.
And that is delusional.
It is Delulu. Okay, it is high Delulu. It's just, what do they call it? A para-something relationship, parasocial relationship.
Oh yeah,
where you've never met someone, but you feel intensely that you have a strong relationship with them, and like some of it can be positive, but a lot of it is usually viewed in a not good light when I've read articles about it. And it feels like this is a negative version of a parasocial relationship where these people feel entitled to make comments about someone's appearance. They feel entitled to his person. Yeah. And it's just quite upsetting. Like, I think it's upsetting in general that people can't differentiate that celebrities are also human beings. And just because they get paid a lot of money and they have a lot of privileges doesn't mean that they're not entitled to have a life or have privacy or change their bodies or live or change, grow, get older, change size, change shape, beard, no beard, like whatever it is. Just let people be human.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I saw something somewhere saying like people need to leave Jensen alone, but I didn't know what the context was, but it was obviously that.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of leave Jensen alone stuff.
Yeah.
Like I think I saw a few where people were commenting on him looking older. Well, and that's where I got the aging from.
And that's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's like
people do age. Everyone ages.
But the general one that I saw was like people commenting about he should have kept the beard and he should look like Mark Meacham forever and stuff like that. Like,
and they're probably the same people that wanted him to look like Dean the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like they're characters. Hello?
Boundaries, people. Boundaries. That's the end of my rant. We should probably do the episode now. Okay. So, do you want to do the synopsis?
Yes. So this is season 4, episode 10, Heaven and Hell. The original air date for this episode was November 20th, 2008. This episode picks up right after the last episode, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Dean, Sam and Ruby try to protect Anna Milton, a woman who can hear angels' voices from the angels who came for her at the end of the last episode who want to kill her, and a powerful demon, Alistair, who wants to torture her for information. It's revealed during the episode that Anna is actually a fallen angel who voluntarily taught out her grace and fell to earth to live as a human, and the only way to save her and everyone else is to find her grace so she can become an angel again. With Sam, Dean and Ruby's help, Anna finds where her grace fell, but they discover it has been stolen by Uriel, who wears it in a vial around his neck.
That's normal. It's a normal thing to do. Feels very serial killer.
Yeah. They orchestrate a plan to bring the angels and demons together, hoping they will fight amongst themselves, giving Anna a chance to recover her grace, which she does, and she vanishes in a blinding burst of light. At the end of the episode, we get a very emotional confession from Dean, who finally tells Sam what happened while he was in hell. So this is a two-parter, and this is the second part. So we left off last episode with Sam and Dean saving Anna, who is a girl who can overhear angel conversations, from a demon attack, and then the angels came for her at the end and said they wanted to kill her. And then we pick up exactly where we left off in this episode.
Yeah. Okay, so what is funny is the way that the angels say it. Because Sam's like, you want Anna? Why? And Uriel's like, out of the way. And Dean says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, I know she's wiretapping your angel chats or whatever, but it's no reason to gank her. And Uriel says, don't worry, I'll kill her gentle.
He's really scary. That was chilling.
He sucks. He's such a bad guy.
Yeah, he's evil.
And Dean is like, you're some heartless sons of bitches, you know that? And Castiel's like, as a matter of fact, we are. And I was like, that doesn't feel like a very Cass line to me. But maybe he's just trying to save face in front of his angel buddy. And Sam's like, Anna's an innocent girl. And Castiel says she's far from innocent. And Sam says, what is that supposed to mean? And this is really interesting because this is like building up a lot of tension at the beginning of the episode. And Uriel says it means that she's worse than this abomination you've been screwing. Now give us the girl. And he obviously means Ruby.
Oh, no.
And Dean says, sorry, get yourself another one. Try J-Date. And that made me laugh so hard. I was like, Dean just casually throwing down with angels. Uriel's like, who's gonna stop us? And then he throws Ruby against a wall, and like really violently. And Dean attacks him immediately afterwards. And this is what I thought was super interesting: is the dynamic between the boys and Ruby has clearly shifted.
Yeah.
Last episode and this episode, there's such a major shift in Dean's attitude, and in particular,
Dean's become
Ruby.
Ruby's friend.
He's like, bestie. So Sam says, Cass, stop, please. And Castiel...
Is that the first time someone's actually called him Cass?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Because I know that he gets called Cass, like, but I thought that was more when, I don't know, they obviously become more friendly with him later in later seasons.
No, that's a really good catch. I didn't notice at all. I think that might be the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Cass touches Sam's forehead and he's just knocked out, unconscious, down.
That's normally that's the thing he does when he puts people into the past as well, isn't it?
Yeah, he just touches their forehead. Whatever he wants to happen happens.
Angel powers.
I read, I think it was a Reddit thread, so don't quote me on like this being reality, but but one of the things that got said was that the writers had originally intended the possibility for Cass to later be revealed as God in the series, and then they changed their minds. And he became a series regular. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Now I'm watching Cass's character, like, with that in mind, like, that they're like, oh, he's a demon, but no, he's an angel, but maybe we'll make him God. Writers are funny.
Yeah, and that doesn't really make sense for how they've written him so far, because it's almost like when he talks to Dean, it's almost like he's having a bit of a existential crisis about being an angel.
Yeah. Well, every time, so this is the other thing with the like whole Destiel theory, where like whatever you think about.
What's that?
Okay,
like a romance name, like a couple name
for Dean and Castiel.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, get it.
Because I brought that up before, right? And so
yeah, but I don't think you said that, but yeah,
I don't think I have either. I don't think I've name dropped Destiel. So here's the thing: is whatever you think about. Your personal opinion about Dean's feelings for Cass is totally valid. But Misha has said, so it's canon, and it's also written, so it's canon. Misha has said that Cass does love Dean. And he'll do like pride posts about it and stuff, where he's like, happy pride, Cass, and he'll be dressed up as Cass, and it's so cute. And I love it. I think it's wholesome and kind of beautiful. So I'm finding it fascinating as somebody who, the resident bisexual, did not pick up on any of these vibes, guys, when I was watching this. I was like, they're like brothers. They love each other. And then I saw the Destiel stuff and I was like, wait a minute, what? What do you mean? No, what do you mean? I was like, nah. And then I saw people being like, but is Dean secretly bisexual because of all of these things? And then I was like, oh, wait a second. So like initially I was like, I hate this. I think this makes no sense. And then there's a slow burn of looking at what people had compiled where I was like, you know what? I can see it. Like, I don't know if it's what I think, but I can see it. I can see how people arrive at this conclusion. And I'm watching this episode, and I'm watching Cass always be so particular with Dean. And I'm wondering how conscious or subconscious that was on Misha's part, and at what point he decided to play Cass as having feelings, some kind of feelings for Dean.
Yeah.
It is really curious because I definitely didn't think that there would be anything in the beginning where I'd be like, Cass catches feelings for Dean. But actually, I'm watching this back and I'm like, Cass definitely treats Dean as special. And like, obviously there's the whole storyline thing and the implication that God favors Dean, so the angels are supposed to be favoring Dean, but Cass is the only angel who actually does, aside from Anna. Right? And Anna's kind of an exception because she's not actually an angel when all this stuff is happening. But I don't know. It's just really interesting to watch Cass be so careful and caring of Dean from the get. It's fascinating.
I did notice a look during this episode. I think it was when Anna kisses Dean in front of them all.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, but then I remember thinking my main thing was, oh, he's an angel and doesn't like understand humans.
Yeah. I want to rewatch it again because I don't think I noticed his expression. But like that would be.
He just did one of his stares where he just is kind of like looking very curiously at people because he's like, oh, humans are strange.
What are humans
things.
doing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I read it. But then that is interesting. I could see how people would read it that way. But also I'm like, but do angels have sexuality?
It's another interesting question.
Maybe. I mean, Anna did, but then Anna's a human at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's later in the episode. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah. Okay. So, Uriel says that he's been waiting for this. And a bright light engulfs Destiel and Uriel, and they suddenly disappear. And Dean says, "What the?" And I thought that was really funny. But then Dean goes to help Ruby to her feet, and now he's like, "Wait a second." Yeah, he has accepted her as Sam's girlfriend, and he's like, he's going to help her. So his attitude has done like a full 180, because now, she's become the girl that Sam is with. And I also wonder if now that we know that Dean was in hell. And by the end of the episode, we know he was torturing souls and acting like demonically. I wonder if he has more sympathy for Ruby. I don't know. But it's interesting to see him acting completely differently to Ruby. Like he never would have helped her before. In this episode, it's very clear that both Sam and Dean are acting to protect Ruby. So like, do we read it like Dean's changed his mind about Ruby, or do we read it like he's accepted that that's how Sam feels, and because he loves Sam, he's extending an olive branch?
Yeah, I think that's how I read it, but it is interesting about the demon side of it. Like if Dean was, is that how demons become demons then? So if your soul goes to hell, you eventually turn into a demon.
Yeah.
So that was technically, if Dean had stayed, he might have turned into a demon anyway.
Yeah. So the Dean mom.
Yeah. That
was a bad joke. For that. You can't take credit for that. That's not mine.
I liked it.
Yeah. Ruby is kneeling beside Sam, who's starting to regain consciousness. Dean, meanwhile, goes to investigate because the angels just disappeared in a beam of light, so there has to be some kind of magical something, right? Yeah. And he finds Anna with her hands and arms covered in her own blood, and she's like cut her arm open, and she's used it to draw sigils on a mirror. And she's like, "Are they gone?" And he's like, "Did you kill them?" And she said, "No, I sent them away, far away." And he's like, "How did you know how to do that?" And she says it just popped into her head and she didn't know how but she just knew how to do it, basically. We're like, oh, the plot thickens.
Yeah, and then we get the opening titles. So Sam and Dean, they discuss what's up with Anna and what the angels meant by her not being innocent. And Dean tells Sam to see what he can find out about her while he gets them somewhere safe. And then we cut to Bobby's bunker, or panic room, whatever it was called. And I was happy to see it because it's cool.
It is very cool. I love the like whole ceiling fan situation where you have like the ventilation shaft, and then you have the fan to move the air around, and then you have like the huge like witchcrafty pentagram symbol-y things like under it. It's just visually so cool.
And Dean's telling Anna that demons can't get in the bunker, and Ruby says it's racist.
Yeah,
because she's standing outside because she can't come in, obviously.
Yeah, and then he says, "Right to your congressman."
Oh yeah. And then Ruby throws him some hex bags for protection, and Dean thanks her. And I wrote in my notes, "Oh, aren't they getting along swimmingly today?"
Could you be more English?
And then Ruby is shocked that he thanked her, which, fair. Yeah. And Dean asks Anna if anything is playing on Angel Radio. And she says no, that there's dead silence. And Dean says, good, that's not troubling at all. And then we hear Sam call him from up in the house, and Dean tells Ruby to keep an eye on Anna.
Which is also interesting.
Yeah, he trusts her now.
Like, yeah, exactly.
So Sam has just arrived after finding the car and bringing her back and doing some research. And he asks where Bobby is. And then there's something Dean says about a banana hammock and a trucker cap. What's that quote?
Sam says, where's Bobby? And Dean says, the Dominican. He said, we break anything, we buy it. And Sam says he's working a job. And Dean says, God, I hope so. Otherwise, he's at hedonism in a banana hammock and a trucker cap.
And then doesn't Sam say something like, oh, thanks for that visual?
Yeah, Sam says, now that's seared in my brain. And it's so funny. And then he asks, what did he find on Anna? And Sam says, not much. Describes like a church deacon and a housewife as her parents. And Dean just says, riveting. And Sam says, yeah. But it turns out that the latest episode wasn't her first. And Dean says, no. And Sam says, when she was 2.5, she'd get hysterical anytime her dad got close. She was convinced that he wasn't her real daddy. And Dean says, who was? The plumber? A little snaking the pipes? And Sam says, dude, you're confusing reality with porn again. And these, honestly, these were actually funny. Like, I'll own up. That was like a legit Dean line. Like, that's fine. So, Sam, the whole episode, reality, porn. Stop confusing them. It's so funny, honestly. So he says that Anna never said that, but she just kept repeating that this real father of hers was really mad and wanted to kill her. And Dean says, kind of heavy for a 2-year-old. And Sam says, well, she saw a kid shrink, got better, and grew up normal. And Dean says, until now. So what's she hiding? And Anna comes around with Ruby all angry and says, why don't you just ask me to my face? And Dean to Ruby says, nice job watching her. And Ruby's like, I'm watching her. She's like she literally with an eye shot. Sam says, no, you're right, Anna. Is there anything you want to tell us? Because Sam has people skills, right? And Anna's like, about what? And Sam says, the angels said you were guilty of something. Why would they say that? And Anna says, you tell me. Tell me why my life's been leveled, why my parents are dead. I don't know. I swear I would give anything to know. And Sam says, okay, then let's find out. And Anna's like, how? And then we cut.
By using Pam.
And we see Pamela, our friendly neighborhood groper.
So yeah, she does it again.
She does do it again. She's more charming this episode, though. I feel like she's written a bit better this episode. She comes off as an unapologetic 80s rocker chick more than a stop it. There's a little bit of stop it, but it's less bad for sure. So he's leading her down the stairs, and Dean says, we're here. And Sam says, Pamela, hey. And Pamela says, Sam? And Sam says, it's me. It's Sam. And Pamela's like, Sam? And Sam says, yeah. And then she's like, Sam, is that you? And he says, I'm right here. And she says, oh, know how I can tell? And then she grabs Sam's ass and says, that perky little ass of yours, you could bounce a nickel off that thing. Of course, I know it's you, Grumpy. Same way I know that that's a demon and that poor girl's Anna and you've been eyeing my rack. And Sam goes, and it's awkward. Pam says, don't sweat it, kiddo. I still got more senses than most. And Sam says, got it. So, like, he's been caught eyeing up a blind woman, as you do, just casually on a Saturday or a Tuesday or whatever the fuck day this was, like, just as you do, apparently. So Pamela introduces herself to Anna and interestingly does not grope Anna. Says hi. And Pamela says, Dean told me what's been going on. I'm excited to help. And Anna says, oh, that's nice of you. Pamela says, oh, well, not really. Any chance I can dick over an angel, I'm taking it. And Anna says, why? And Pamela says, they stole something from me. And she takes off her sunglasses, revealing these white eyes. And she says, demony, I know, but they're just plastic. Good for business. Makes me look extra psychic, don't you think? And then she laughs.
And just like Lilith now.
She does, yeah. So we cut to inside the panic room. And she basically hypnotizes Anna.
Yeah, question. When did Pam become a hypnotist? Because she was a psychic and now she's both.
Yeah, I don't know. She got her degree. In the meantime, she decided to pull in another skill set while she was recovering in hospital. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Hypnotism scares me. I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? It scares me, but it also really intrigues me.
Yeah, same. So she regresses Anna and asks her how she can hear the angels and how she did the spell that she did. And Anna says that she doesn't know, she just did it. And then she asks about her father, and Anna names like the human dude. And Pamela says, all right, but I want you to look further back when you were very young, just a couple years old. And she says, I don't want to. And Pamela says, it'll be okay, Anna, just one look, that's all we need. And Anna says, no.
She hasn't learned her lesson from losing her eyes.
No. And she
wanted just one look at Destiel.
Yeah, she keeps pushing. And then Anna starts screaming and flipping out. And she starts saying, he's going to kill me. And Pamela says, Anna, you're safe. And then she's screaming, no. And then very similar to Cass, when he walks into the bar and the lights explode and glass is shattering. And that was a clue for us as to her true nature.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Yeah. And Pamela says, calm down. And Anna does not calm down. In fact, she keeps flipping out. She has not lived left loving. Okay. She's screaming. And Pamela says, it's all right, Anna. And Dean says, Anna, and starts walking towards Anna. And Pamela says, don't. And Anna throws Dean across the room. And then Pamela unhypnotizes her, meaning she brings her out of her hypnotic state by counting back to the numbers and saying that she's awake. And Anna says, thank you, Pamela. That helps a lot. I remember now. And Sam's like, remember what? And Anna says, who I am. And Dean says, I'll bite. Who are you? And Anna says, I'm an angel. And at this point in the show, I was like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? I was so confused.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming. And I didn't notice the light sparking thing as being a clue, which, yeah, that's a good call.
Thank you.
So we cut to a little later and they're all upstairs now, and Anna tells Ruby not to be afraid as she's not like the others, because Ruby doesn't like angels, does she? And nor does Pam. So Ruby says she doesn't find that very reassuring, and Pam agrees with her. And then she explains how she knows Castiel and Uriel, but so basically she was like their boss.
Yeah.
She says they're after her because she disobeyed and fell to earth and became human. And she did that by ripping out her grace, which is like her angel energy, and fell. And she just forgot over time who she was. So she was obviously then a human baby.
Yeah.
Ruby interrupts to say that they're all completely screwed. Anna agrees and says that heaven wants her dead. And Ruby adds that hell just wants her. Because she's human, they can torture her. So she's like an angel. She's got the information of an angel, but she's human, so they can torture her. Anna says that she's going to get her grace back if she can find it. So I don't know if you can explain this better, because I didn't really understand how her getting her grace back actually does save the day. So she becomes an angel again, but then,
Yeah.
like, what does that mean? Oh, because then she goes back up to heaven, so the demons can't get her? But the angels could still get her, surely.
Well, so this is where I think, again, the episode feels rushed, the writing. I also think that's a little bit of a flag. My assumption was that because she had more grace, she had more power. Like, so the way that angels are described in the Bible, and therefore kind of in this, and the Abrahamic religions in general, I think, is that they're ranked, and you have lesser angels and then you have more powerful angels. And Anna is clearly supposed to be a very heavy hitter, because if she's more powerful than Castiel and Uriel, who get sent to wipe out like entire towns and are soldier boys, then Anna, being their leader, has more power than they do, right? So like the angels are no longer a threat to her as soon as she has all of her power back, because she is way more powerful than they are. Presumably, that means she may also have enough power to smite the demons, because most of the demons, they're able to actually smite them when you see them like burning their eyeballs out with their holy fire and shit, which I thought was a really cool effect. So my thought process goes, either A, Anna can leave and take herself anywhere because she now has the full power of an angel who's very badass, and so the demons just are like, well, there's no point in us being here. Or the demons realize that she's hella powerful and they might be in danger, so they leave, because demons are like self-centered. They're not going to sacrifice themselves. I think some of them do sacrifice themselves for specific causes, but like you also have very like self-centered demons who are like not about that life. So that's what I think happened.
So she's more powerful, so then therefore they won't be able to go after her. But then she's not more powerful than her dad, aka God, who still would want her dead, surely. But I think Dean mentioned something later when they say like, oh, she's having a good time now, and Dean's like, I doubt it. So maybe she's still sacrificing herself in a way.
Yeah. Because we're like left to question if she sacrifices herself for the Winchesters.
Yeah, because presumably how I read it is that she's now going back up to her heaven, but she's going to still be killed probably.
Yeah. So it really does depend on how you read it. Like, I don't know that there is implied that there's some conflict amongst the angels, because Cass is arguing with Uriel. They clearly don't see eye to eye. They've been told that there are bands of angels that are like a big fan of Dean, and then there's bands of angels that are not a big fan of Dean, right? So like it feels to me like heaven is not a unified place. It's got all these different conflicting tribes of angels. And so similarly to the demons have conflicting tribes warring for power. Heaven seems to have the same situation going on. Both of them seem kind of unstable and volatile. So it's like, do we read this as Anna sacrificed herself for the Winchesters and saved them? Is this like a grand romantic gesture where she gives up her life to save Dean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we supposed to read it like she's uber powerful and so she's gone off to fight for herself and maybe also for them, probably? Because like she definitely does it in a protective way, self-protective, but certainly also sheltering of Dean in particular.
Maybe we should throw it out to the listeners. Like, let us know your theories in the comments.
Tell us
how
in the
did
comments.
you read it? Yeah,
I'd be really
I find
curious.
it really interesting when people give us their takes on things. Yeah,
for sure. So Dean says, so what, you're just going to take some divine bong hit and Shazam, you're Roma Downey? And Anna says something like that. And he says, all right, I like this plan. So where's this grace of yours? And she says, I lost track. I was falling about 10,000 miles per hour at the time. And Sam's like, wait, you mean falling like literally? And Anna says, yes.
You can see the little light bulb at this time.
You can
such
see
a
the
smart
Sherlock.
Cookie.
Yeah. Sam says, like the way a human eye can see, like a comet maybe, or a meteor. And Anna says, why do you ask? And we cut into Bobby's library at night, and Sam's surrounded by these books and magazines and I guess annuals. And he says, here, March of 85, a meteorite vanished in the night sky over northwestern Ohio. It was sighted 9 months before Anna was born, and she was born in that part of Ohio. Ruby says, you're pretty buff for a nerd.
I love that quote.
That's amazing. Also, there's this whole thread in the Supernatural fandom with pictures of super hench buff Sam saying in our fandom, this is the nerd. We win.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's amazing. And also facts.
Definitely.
So Sam says, look, I think it was Anna and here, another one over Kentucky. And Ruby says, and that's her Grace. And Sam says, might be. And Ruby says, all right, that just narrows it down to an entire state. And Sam
She's
says,
being
look,
glass half empty.
Yeah. And she says, Sam, I'm sorry. And Sam says, for what? And Ruby says, for bringing you into this mess. If I'd known, I would have kept my trap shut. And Sam says, yeah, well, we'll muddle through. And I'm just like, this is such a like a boyfriend-girlfriend vibe. Ruby says, no, not this time. You do not want to get between these two armies. It's Godzilla and Mothra. If one side doesn't get us, the other will. And Sam says, so what do you want to do? Dump Anna and run? Forget it. Look, I know the angels freak you out. And Ruby says, forget the angels. It's Alistair I'm scared of. And Sam says, Alistair? Ruby says, you met him in the church. Practically the Grand Inquisitor downstairs. Picasso with a razor.
That was creepy.
It was so creepy.
Picasso with a razor.
Ugh.
What a description.
Yeah. Sam says, and Ruby says, you should pull him out and throw him back in the pit if he weren't so out of shape. And Sam says, Ruby. And Ruby says, no, your abilities, you're getting flabby. And Sam says, yeah, so how do I tone up? And she says, you know how, you know what you got to do. And Sam says, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And Ruby says, Sam? And Sam says, I said no. And Ruby says, well, you better pray that Anna gets her groove back or we're all dead. Dun dun dun. Drama. So we cut to Bobby's salvage yard and it's nighttime. And Anna says, Pamela get home okay? And Dean says, yeah. She said she was sorry. It's just, after last time, this is just a little too rich for her blood. Anna says, I don't blame her. You guys should do the same. And Dean says, well, we're not that smart. That always makes me laugh. He says, can I ask you something? What do they want me for? Why did they save me? Anna says, I'm sorry, the angels aren't talking about it, and it was after I fell. Dean said, that's another question. Why would you fall? Why would you want to be one of us? And Anna says, you don't mean that. And he says, I don't. A bunch of miserable bastards eating, crapping, confused, afraid.
I loved this whole, like, back and forth about the good and bad things about being human.
Yeah. Anna says, I don't know. There's loyalty, forgiveness, love. Dean says, pain. Anna says, chocolate cake. Dean says, guilt. Anna says, sex. Dean says, yeah, you got me there. Anna says, I mean it. Every emotion, Dean, even the bad ones. It's why I fell. It's why I'd give anything not to have to go back. Anything. And Dean says, feelings are overrated if you ask me. And Anna says, it beats being an angel. Dean says, how's that possible? You guys are powerful and perfect. You don't doubt yourselves or God or anything. Anna says, perfect. Like a marble statue. Cold, no choice, only obedience. Dean, do you know how many angels have actually seen God, seen his face? And Dean says, all of you? And Anna says, 4 angels. 4. And I'm not one of them. Dean says,
see,
that's
this is interesting because it's like, even the angels have to have faith. Like, they don't know what's real and stuff either.
Yeah. Exactly.
I find that interesting because you'd assume that angels would know.
Yeah. Anna says that they have to take it on fate and they're killed if they don't have faith. And Dean goes, huh? And Anna says, I was stationed on Earth 2,000 years, just watching, silent, invisible, out on the road. Sick for home, waiting on orders from an unknowable father I can't begin to understand. So don't tell me that. And Dean laughs. Because we're all like, this sounds a lot like John.
Dean relates to her daddy issues.
Yeah. Hey, this is what's so funny. What? And Dean says, nothing. I'm sorry. I can relate. And then Sam comes up and says, hey. And Dean says, did you find something? And Sam says, I think so. And then we cut back into the library. And Sam says, Union, Kentucky found some accounts of a local miracle. And Dean says, yeah. And he says, yeah, in 85, there was an empty field outside town. 6 months later, there was a full-grown oak. They say it looked a century old at least. And Dean says, Anna, what do you think? And Anna says, the Grace. Where it hit, it could have done something like that easy. Dean says, so Grace ground zero, not destruction, and she says, pure creation. And Dean looks low-key horrified. And I had to think about, like, ground zero where he was pulled out of hell. Where Castiel ripped him out of hell and all those trees were dead and everything was exploded and it was like a horror sequence. I just feel like he's thinking about that and he's being kind of horrified by it because he's thinking about the comparison
Yeah, because his wasn't all creation, his was destruction.
Exactly.
I hadn't noticed that.
I'm using my film degree. Look at me go. I didn't waste that money, honest. So we cut to the...
So wait, hang on. What do you think that means then? So like, did Destiel, he pulled Dean out, but he wasn't being angelic because it would have been creation?
My thought process is that Anna's point of impact is from her grace, which is holy, right? So the holy energy of angelic grace creates growth and creation and life and all of those things. And Dean is reflecting on the state of his soul and how bad, how heavy must he have been for Cass to drag him up out of the pit and create like an atomic bomb.
So it wasn't Cass's influence, it was Dean. It was because he was coming out of hell rather than
out of hell,
dropping down from heaven. Okay.
And like, if your soul is magically contracted to hell, and they have their hooks in you and they've been torturing you for 40 years and they've started to turn you into a demon, how much power does it take for someone to rip you out of there and pull you back up into the land of the living and effectively save you? It might look like an atomic bomb, but the implication is certainly that there was a lot of darkness and evil surrounding Dean, because that impact point is very much the opposite of Anna's impact point.
Yeah. So I also had a fun fact about the oak here and how oak is relevant, because so originally I found something on IMDb and then I did a bit more research. So on IMDb I found this that says the association of oak with Anna is not quite arbitrary or random. Anna's grace touched down in an empty field and caused an oak tree to grow. Full-grown oak trees are massive, incredibly strong, majestic, and can stand for many centuries. Hang on, blah, 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 blah. In pagan and early and Christian cultures, oak was highly sacred, associated with strength, power, and divinity. It was used to crown kings as a symbol of their connection and closeness to the divine. Angels in supernatural are warriors, and Anna is revealed to be Destiel and Uriel's superior. In ancient times, oak was also used to crown victorious army commanders, and to this day, the oak leaf is still used by the military as a symbol of leadership. And then I wanted to check if that was true, mainly the kind of pagan and early and Christian cultures. And I went on a website called thornandclaw.com, which is like a witchy jewelry store, but it had a section about symbols. And it says that the oak tree has also been associated with wisdom and knowledge. And then it talks about the ancient Celts believing the oak tree was a portal to other worlds, and its branches reached up to the heavens where the gods and goddesses resided. So that's the kind of link to heaven there. But it wasn't just Christian and pagan though, because when I originally searched for it, the Google overview had said that it also has significance in Celtic, Slavic, Greek, Roman, and Native American cultures. And it's all kind of linked to gods and stuff.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I know that the oak tree is linked to several really important European deities. So like, I believe off the top of my head, so I'm not citing anything, just from memory, I would say I think it's Thor in the Norse mythology, and I believe it's Woden in the Anglo-Saxon cultures, and then Jove in Roman culture. So it's like whoever your king god is, or your god of extreme strength, is usually associated with the oak tree. So again, I feel like we have all these different references that Anna's hella powerful.
Because at first glance you kind of think, oh, they might have just chosen an oak because oak trees take a long time to grow, so it's like the village people recognized it because it just kind of grew overnight. But it does actually still have a link to the angelic side of things and like heaven and stuff, so I thought that was cool.
That is fascinating. That was a really cool Easter egg. I love that. And it links really well into my lore, which was miracles, because Anna, and like a lot of the topic of the show is miracles and miraculous events. So I was like, okay, so that's the lore. So I looked up what are actually documented, investigated, sort of confirmed miracles, like unexplained,
Cool.
like you can't explain it away. It is just miraculous. So I have a list here and a quote from actually I think it's a government website. It says making a case for medical miracles. And I think it's from like PubMed, but the link is in my show notes so you can actually look at the whole article. And basically what happened was there's a doctor who had a case where her patient had leukemia, was really, really, really unwell, prayed to a particular saint or at a particular holy site, and then went into remission, even though the treatments that medically had no impact. And then again later. So basically, through what happened, this miracle was confirmed by the Vatican, I believe, and it was deeply investigated, and there was just no scientific explanation for her recovery. So then the doctor becomes super fascinated because she has a medical degree, but she also has a degree in, I think it's sociology. So she's really interested in, like, was the church actually opposing science, or was the church agreeing? Like, were they creating science? Like, because the Vatican does have a strict set of policies for investigating miracles and does demand, you could argue, scientific evidence. Basically, they try very hard to disprove things. And so I've always found that really, really interesting. And there are documented cases that she found, and she goes on this whole journey with it. And this is what the article says that I thought was really interesting. She says she found records of a paralyzed woman who rose and walked after lying next to the corpse of Saint Diego de Alcala in 1555. A 3-year-old boy came back to life after a mother's plea to Saint Andrea Avellino in 1678. A young woman was cured of meningitis following appeals to Saint Vincenza Maria Lopez y Vicuna in 1928. After examining more than 1,400 cases in the canonization files of the Vatican Archives and Library, physician and historian Jacqueline Duffin does believe. Once skeptical, she says she now believes the stories as a historian. So, you know, she is an atheist. She is a scientist, but she believes in the documented evidence and she finds it really fascinating. She says that she believes in the accuracy of the players and the people involved in experiencing and verifying the events. She said these events were miracles for the people involved. And she wrote an entire book called Medical Miracles, Doctors, Saints, and Healing in the Modern World. So she talks about the canonization of Marie Marguerite de Uriel, who was the first Canadian-born saint, which was the woman who her patient prayed to. And there were, I think, a couple of other instances for that particular saint, but she was kind of directly involved in it. And she says after her patient, she just felt as if she had to learn more about miraculous healings because as a scientist, she was interested. She was curious. She couldn't get it out of her head. And the website goes on to say that Duffin's study is good empirical history. She presents ample case narratives involving cancer, blindness, lung conditions, and other debilitating diseases.
Oh.
Yeah, and I thought that was really, really interesting because I feel like something that we do know is there are miracles that happen in terms of a sudden leap in healing, somebody just weirdly coming back to life without actually having experienced an event that we would be able to explain. Like, oh, this worked because they hit you up with adrenaline or they hit you up with electric paddles, especially the ones from like the 1500s or the 1600s. And people are writing down exactly what happened and there are multiple witnesses and you just can't explain it. And like, I can understand why that would catch at her curiosity because I'm so fascinated by things like that. And it reminds me of when we did the one before where Dean's in the hospital and he's like a ghost wandering the halls. And the lore drop for that episode was the study that they did in Southampton people who had near-death experiences.
Oh yeah,
and actually described real events that were happening in other rooms in the hospital while they said that they were dead. And like it was scientifically proven that these ones were actually accurate. So these people's souls, or whatever, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, was literally just like wandering around the hospital and then came back in when they came back to life, which is just like fascinating.
I love it when science can't explain stuff.
Yeah, it's great. Like, so I find miraculous healing or out of body experiences endlessly interesting.
Yeah, me too.
So the next scene, we cut back to the guys. They're in the Impala at night. So Sam, Dean, and Ruby are all in the Impala. Dean's driving, Sam's beside him, and Anna and Ruby are in the back seat. And Dean looks in the rearview mirror and laughs. And Ruby goes, "What?" And Dean says, "Nothing. It's just an angel and a demon riding in the back seat. It's like a setup to a bad joke or a penthouse forum letter." And Sam goes, "Dude, reality, porn."
Yeah.
He's like, "They're not the same thing."
So they arrive at the tree in the morning and Dean says it looks beautiful. Anna confirms it's where the grace touched down, as she can feel it. I've got a flag about this later. So let's just all remember that. She can feel it, okay? She can feel her grace.
Okay, yep.
Dean asks if she's ready and she says not really, but they all walk towards the tree. Sam asks Anna what they were looking for. She touches the tree and then says, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's not here anymore, someone took it." I thought you could just feel it, Anna. You could feel it there, and now you're saying it's gone.
I want you to know that I'm resisting the urge to make a dirty joke about her filling up this big piece of wood. It's more than a foot long and girthy. Okay. I think, here's the thing, is like, in a lot of magical stories that I have read, and in different series, there's this belief that magic, which is what grace would be, leaves a trace, that you can like sense it. So the way that I think we're supposed to interpret it is that her grace was there. It did create the miracle that is this huge oak tree. And she can sense that it was there at one point, like an echo.
That's not what she said though, is it?
Okay.
No, yeah, I know that's how it's supposed to be, but I'm just pointing it out as a flag because that's not what she said.
I'm just picturing Laura like frenetically waving flags in front of this tree, being like, "No, stop it. You're not making sense."
So what she should have said is like, "I can sense that it was here at some point. Let's go and have a look and see if it still is."
It doesn't sound as clean as "I can sense it."
No. So anyway, flag aside, they go back to Bobby's and Dean says that they still have the hex bag, so they should go to the panic room. And Ruby's like, "What, forever?" Because it's obviously not a long-term plan. And Dean says he's just thinking out loud. And Ruby says, "Oh, you call that thinking?" About it. I was like, "Oh no, they're arguing again." They're like, I thought they were mates.
Like, stop it.
And they're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
And Ruby starts airing her concerns about the whole situation and how Anna can't save them without her grace. And Anna interrupts to say that she can hear the angels again. And Sam asks what they're saying. She says it's weird, like a recording on a loop that says, "Dean Winchester, give us Anna by midnight or we hurl him back to damnation." And I was like, uh-oh. And Dean does look genuinely scared here as well.
Yeah.
And Sam asks if there's a weapon that can kill angels. And she says nothing they can get to in time. And Dean suggests that they call Bobby, but Sam asks what he's going to...
He says we can get him back from hedonism.
But Sam's like, what's he going to tell them that they don't already know? And I wrote in my notes, I don't know, Sam, but he's saved you before, so it's worth a shot, surely.
Good point.
And then Dean's outside reading a rather large book via lamp on the car bonnet. And Anna goes out to speak to him, and she thanks him for helping her. And then Dean says, "Let's can the thanks for trying speech, participation trophies suck ass." And then Anna says maybe she doesn't deserve to be saved because she disobeyed. And Dean tries to comfort her. And then she sits in front of him on the car and tells him that she has something to tell him and he's not going to like. And she says that she heard the angels talking a week ago about what he did in hell. So she knows. And she she touches his face and tells him it wasn't his fault and he should forgive himself. And I was like, oh, that's quite sweet. And he says he can't talk about it. And she says that when he can, he has people around him who want to help, and reminds him that he's not alone. Because he does have a tendency to kind of like not talk to people about things, doesn't he?
Also my toxic trait. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And then she kisses him and he asks what that was for. And she says, our last night on Earth and all that. And then he says, you're stealing my best line. And then he gets
I love that part. I love the part where he says, you're stealing my best line.
But see, that's like how it's just kind of like, they're not necessarily, soulmates and in love and stuff, but they're just like, well, pretty much going to probably die tomorrow. So,
death
why not?
equals sex in the human brain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weddings and funerals, man. Weddings and funerals.
Yeah. Oh, and we also get another Titanic hand wipe. At the end.
We do. Yeah. So they get it on in the backseat of the Impala. And like for me, I feel like that's a signal that Dean really likes her. Because the Impala is his real home. Like there's a deeper connection. I feel like that's kind of a metaphor, like a signal to us as an audience.
I thought they were sweet.
Yeah, I agree. So then we cut back to the barn and Sam is asleep over an open book and Ruby's leaving. She's sneaking out and she burns one of her hex bags. And immediately there's Alistair. And he says, hello, Ruby. And Ruby says, Alistair. And Alistair says, I have to say, I'm surprised to find you out in the open like this. And this is around the scene where I feel like his accent starts changing and he starts giving us more Hannibal. And she says, yeah, desperate times. Alistair says, that they are. You looking for this? He takes out Ruby's knife. Your gawky human friend gave it to me. Can you imagine?
Gawky.
Gawky.
Yeah.
He's so muscular. He's not gawky. Tall, yes. Gawky. Ruby says, keep it. I just came to talk. And Alistair says, about what? About how a demon is protecting an angel? We really must revoke your membership. That was funny. Ruby says, look, I know I'm not employee of the month, but I never wanted to get into the middle of this. And Alistair says, why are you here, Ruby? And Ruby says, I'll give you the angel. Alistair says, will you? And in return, she says, I walk away. Me and the Winchester boys, both of them. This is angel business, and it's none of our business. And I was like, oh, both of them. She's protecting Dean, too, now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's very interesting to me. Alistair says, I'd always heard that you were a devious, cowardly little slut. You don't disappoint. And this is full Hannibal Lecter. Like, when he says that, it's straight from Anthony Hopkins' mouth. Okay? Ruby says, so what do you say? And he says, it's interesting, prudent. And then two demons appear and grab Ruby from absolutely nowhere. And then he says, but let me make you a counter offer.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Do you think that she's protecting Dean as well just because he's important to Sam?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So then we see Dean walk into some kind of barn, into the barn, and Uriel is there, and Dean says, I'm dreaming, aren't I?
Yeah.
And Uriel says it's the only way they could talk, and tells them that they're hiding like cowards. And then, I've just got, Uriel says Cass likes Dean.
Yeah. Told you.
Uriel's on the Destiel ship.
Uriel's on the Destiel ship all the way. He's riding that ship all the way into port. So Uriel says, Castiel, he's not here. So he has this weakness. He likes you. And I'm like, oh. And this is
Cass and Dean like, sitting in a tree.
Kissing. Okay.
That's how he says it, like a little schoolgirl. He likes you.
He does, yeah. Which is weird coming from him because he usually delivers things with such gravitas. He goes a little bit like Shakespearean and stuff. Yeah. So, Dean says that Anna got her grace back. He's bluffing, right? And he says that she's a full-blown angel now. And Uriel said that would be a neat trick considering. And then he takes out the necklace. I have her grace right here. We can't let hell get their hooks into her. And that was what I was like, he's such a weird freak. He's such a creepy creeper. Okay. Dean says, well, then why don't you just give her back her angel juice? And Uriel says she committed a serious crime. And Dean says, what, thinking for herself? And Uriel says, this is our business, not yours. She's not even human, not technically. And Dean says, yeah, well, I guess I just like being a pain in the pooper. I didn't know if I thought that was funny or if I wanted to scream who wrote that. I have mixed feelings about that line. Uriel says, no, there's more. You cut yourself a slice of angel food cake, didn't you? Huh? You did. I was like,
can you smell it or something? Like, what?
Go, well, in a dream as well. And Dean says, what do you care? Your junk was down there, right? Like a Ken doll.
That was funny.
All I can think of is the Barbie movie, because Uriel really does love the patriarchy. He wants to do patriarchy. So Uriel keeps trying to threaten him and says, well, it's his last chance and give us the girl, or. And Dean says, or what? What? You're going to toss me back into the hole? You're bluffing. And he says, try me. And Dean says, what the hell? Go ahead and do it. Because basically Uriel says that Dean can be replaced. And Dean's like calling his bluff and says, fuck you, just do it. Can. Yeah, and Uriel says, you're just crazy enough to go, aren't you? And Dean says, what can I say? I don't break easy. And then Uriel says, oh, yes, you do. You just got to know where to apply the right pressure. And I was immediately like, he's going to threaten Sam. He's going to threaten Sam. And I was like, long-suffering sigh. Why are the writers like this? Pay for my therapy immediately. Thank you. So we're cut to this old bathroom at night, and Ruby's tied to some kind of dentist chair. But this is very, like, exploitative. I feel like this is like Lilu in The Fifth Element, where she's wearing like just band-aids of nothing, because Genevieve, bless her, is wearing like a leather strapped over her boobs, and she's like splayed, and it's highly sexualized. And I have mixed feelings about it, because like on the one hand, it's incredibly horrible as a woman to watch another woman, even a demonic woman, in that position, because you can see that she's been so sexualized. Like, her mouth is covered over with this thin strip of leather. Her boobs are covered over. Her legs look like they're forced open. Like, it's fucked up. And then on the other hand, I'm like, but is this just like sexploitation? So I have really mixed feelings, because it's like, on the one hand, it's horror and it's horrible and it's scary and it's supposed to be. Is it good, or is it just exploitative?
Maybe a little bit. I thought it was good because of the horror aspect, but I did notice the bit where it's like, did she have to just have a strap over her boobs?
Yeah, because it's like pushing her up as well.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot. It just feels like a lot. So Alistair is doing his Hannibal Lecter speech, and he's saying, you know, the problem with your generation, instant gratification. It's all now, no patience, no craftsmanship.
He should be around now, the TikTok generation.
Yeah. This knife of yours, it's an exquisite piece. You must tell me where you found it. You know, I haven't been up here since Poland 43. Truth is, I loathe it. It's chilly, no stink of blood or sizzle of flesh or the wet flap of flayed skin. I don't know how you stand it. So the sooner you cooperate, the sooner I can finish up with this ghastly angel business and return home to my studies. But no rush. Let's take our time. Relish the moment. Now I'm going to remove this, but don't you go smoking out of that meat. You won't get very far. And so he takes off the piece of leather that's over her whole face, and she takes in this breath, because she couldn't breathe before, I don't think. And Alistair says, tell me where the angel is. And Ruby says, no. And Alistair says, no. And you're like, this is where you're like, oh, she's smart, because she says, no, I tell you, you kill me, but I'll show you.
See, I hadn't realized what was happening yet. I was like, oh no, she's going to give him Anna, but it was all part of the plan.
It was all part of the plan, but I feel sorry.
Maybe not the being tortured part. That was a surprise.
She was seriously tortured. Like,
yeah, that was like, that scene is why the scare rating I give it later is what it is.
Yeah,
because that was horrible.
It's awful. So we cut back to the barn, and it's daytime. And Sam says, "I don't know, man. Where's Ruby?" And Dean says, "Hey, she's your hell buddy." And he's drinking from his flask. And Anna says, it's a little early for that, isn't it? And Dean says, it's 2 a.m. somewhere. And Anna says, are you okay? And Dean says, yeah, of course. And we're not convinced. The doors open with this blast, and Castiel and Uriel enter. Castiel says, "Hello, Anna. It's good to see you."
And Sam says, here puts as soon as they come in, he puts like a protective arm out over her, and that was hot.
Yeah. Sam says, How did you find us? Dean? And Dean turns to Anna and says, "I'm sorry." And Sam says, "Why?" And Anna says, "Because they gave him a choice. They either kill me or kill you. I know how their minds work." And Anna kisses Dean goodbye, and she says, "You did the best you could. I forgive you. Okay? No more tricks. No more running. I'm ready." So she's going to sacrifice herself to save the Winchesters.
Yes, yeah, I think that's cute.
Yeah, he's cute. So Castiel says, "I'm sorry." And Anna says, "No, you're not. Not really. You don't know the feeling." And Castiel says, "Still, we have a history. It's just..." Anna says, "Orders are orders. I know. Just make it quick." Alistair, a very bleeding Ruby, and another demon suddenly appear. And Alistair says, "Don't you touch a hair on that poor girl's head." Uriel says, "How dare you come in this room?" And then he calls him a pussing sore, and I'm like, okay, Shakespeare.
This was funny because as they kind of, Uriel steps forward, and then Sam and Dean and Anna all kind of like duck out of the way and go off to the side, and Ruby kind of rolls off to the side as well, and I was like, they're getting out of the way.
Yeah.
There's a showdown. Angel Demon showdown.
Yeah, there is a showdown. So Alistair says, "Name calling, that hurt my feelings, you sanctimonious fanatical prick." And
they're basically two teenage girls here having like a name calling fight in a high school corridor.
Yeah. Castiel says, "Turn around and walk away now," and he's all threatening and Cass-like. And Alistair says, "Sure, just give us the girl. We'll make sure she gets punished good and proper." Castiel says, "You know who we are and what we will do. I won't say it again. Leave now or we will lay you to waste." Alistair says, "I think I'll take my chances." And then the angels and the demons fight. And Castiel tries to exorcise Alistair with his hand to no result. Alistair says, "Sorry, kiddo, why don't you go run to daddy?" And that was dark and also funny.
And who is Alistair? Because he is stronger than Cass.
Yeah.
He's like stronger than like a really powerful angel. And also Sam couldn't exorcise him last episode. And so it's like, who is he?
How is he more powerful than Lilith?
He's really strong, yeah. I don't know who he is.
Who
is he?
I know. So in the background, Uriel exorcises a demon and the demon screams and he all like burns out, right? And Alistair begins to exorcise Castiel, trying to return him to heaven. And he's saying, "Potestas inferna me confirma, potestas inferna me confirma, potestas inferna me confirma." And
did you look up what that meant? I didn't.
Well, roughly, I'm going to assume that it means that he's affirming his allegiance to hell. And he's trying to drive Castiel away with the power of his evil. Because me confirma, I would assume, means I confirm my allegiance. And potestas inferna, I'm assuming, is declaring his allegiance to hell.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't Google translate it. So Dean hits Alistair with a crowbar. And Alistair says, "Ding, Dean, Dean, I am so disappointed. You had such promise." Like, he's upset that lacked creativity, it lacked flair. Alistair attacks Dean and Sam. Anna takes her grace from Uriel while he's killing the other demon, and Uriel screams, "No!" And she breaks the pendant, releasing the grace, and steps into it, basically, and it just explodes.
Yeah, the grace is kind of like blue demon dust, or angel dust, I guess. Well, maybe not angel dust. That's totally something else. But yeah, it's like really bright.
Yeah, she warns them to shut their eyes. And so this enormous light comes out of Anna's body and it makes Alistair disappear, leaving Ruby's knife behind, which is convenient and very helpful. And Dean says, "Well, wait, what are you guys waiting for? Go get Anna, unless, of course, you're scared." And Uriel says, "This isn't over." And Dean says, "Oh, it looks over to me, junkless." That's amazing. So then they disappear. The angels, poof, gone. And Sam asks Ruby if she's okay. And she says, "Not so much."
Oh,
and Dean says, "What took you so long to get here?" And Ruby says, sorry, I'm late with the demon delivery. I was only being tortured.
Yeah.
And Dean says, I gotta hand it to you, Sammy. Bringing them all together, all at once, angels and demons, it was a damn good plan. And I'm like, oh, smart. Sammy was smart.
Smart cookie.
Yep. And he says, yeah, well, when you got Godzilla and Mothra on your ass, best to get out of their way and let them fight. And Dean says, now you're just bragging. And Sam says, so I guess she's some big time angel now, huh? She must be happy wherever she is. And Dean says, I doubt it.
Yeah. Do we ever see Anna again? Or maybe you can't tell me. Like, does she come back, or is that it? Is she dead?
I obviously can't say because it's spoilers, Lauren. You know that.
Okay.
If I answered it, you'd be like, no, it's spoilers.
Well, my theory, as I said earlier, was that she's going to still be killed up in heaven. So that's what I think at the moment. But
okay,
I hope she comes back.
Yeah, she's a cool character. I like her a lot. So we cut to the roadside, and it's daytime, and Sam's sitting on the hood of the Impala with a beer, and Dean is leaning against the side of the car near him. And Dean's saying, I can't believe we made it out of there. And Sam says, again. And Dean holds out his bottle, and Sam clings it. And Dean says, I know you heard him. And Sam says, who? Acting all innocent and dumb. And Dean says, Alistair, what he said about how I had promise. And Sam says, I heard him. And Dean says, you're not curious? And Sam says, Dean, I'm damn curious. But you're not talking about hell, and I'm not pushing. Dean says, it wasn't 4 months, you know. And Sam's like, what? And Dean says, it was 4 months up here, but down there, I don't know, time's different. It was more like 40 years. And Sam says, my God. And you can just see the horror wash over him.
Yeah,
and
that's
Dean
a long
says,
time.
Yeah, they sliced and carved and tore at me in ways that until there was nothing left. And then suddenly, I would be whole again, like magic, just so they could start all over. And Alistair, at the end of every day, everyone, he would come over and he would make me an offer to take me off the rack if I put souls on, if I started the torturing. And every day I told him to stick it where the sun shines. For 30 years I told him, but then I couldn't do it anymore, Sammy. I couldn't. I got off that rack. God help me. I got right off it and I started ripping them apart. I lost count of how many souls. And then he does the perfect single tear down his cheek.
Yeah,
because he's
I noticed that time. Yeah.
And he says the things that I did to them. And Sam says, Dean, look, you held up for 30 years. That's longer than anyone would have. And Dean's crying. And he says, how I feel this inside me. I wish I couldn't feel anything, Sammy. I wish I couldn't feel a damn thing.
Aww, poor Dean.
My sweet baby angel. Pay for my therapy. Pay for his therapy.
I found something that's going to make you want more therapy as well about Jensen.
Oh, fuck's sake, Laura.
When he was acting this bit. So I found this on IMDb. So it says, Jensen Ackles says that during the confession scene where Dean tells Sam what happened in hell, although he didn't originally intend to play it quite so emotionally, when he was in the moment and in Dean's headspace, that's what happened. And so he rolled with it. And as a result, Jensen himself got very emotional. It was an intense scene. And Jensen says that for him, although his brain knows it's not real, his body doesn't, and is working through the physical reaction to emotion. And he got so worked up that when the director yelled cut, he couldn't stop crying. And he had to walk it off, that's in quotes, about half a mile up the long road they were filming on because he knew he would have to do another take. However, they had done the close-up coverage of him first with several cameras, and what we see of Dean in this scene is almost all from that first take, which was done with 2 cameras. And then Jared says that he and the crew were also affected by Jensen's performance, and it made everyone emotional.
Everyone cried.
Yeah. So it made him actually really emotional. See, is that method acting when you get right into the character? I don't know, but
yeah. Because I believe, I don't know everything, but I believe in method acting is supposed to be you're supposed to make yourself that person.
Oh yeah, you right? Act like that person all the time.
You act like that person, feel like that person, are that person. And I don't think that Jensen ever did any of that on purpose because he's not a formally trained actor, but I just think that he embodied Dean. In a way where I really think some of it was on purpose and some of it was kind of accidental. And so Dean is part of him, you know? And I feel like there are moments with his performances where, because he knows the character so well and because he knows and feels what Dean is going through, there are times when he just lets go and embodies Dean. And in my opinion, I think that's amazing acting.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
good.
that's a true skill set that not many people have. Different people have their different methods, but I think Jensen is such a phenomenal actor. And I think that we, as fans of the art that he makes, it's interesting to think about it because we don't often think about the fact that actors will usually do like multiple takes. It's not very often the director's like, yes, I have everything that I wanted in this one take. And so you think about them having to do these like hyper emotional scenes more than one time to get the exact right cadence or feeling or tear moment or lighting. That's such a lot. Like, especially the way that he is acting. That definitely has to take a physical and mental toll on your body. And I just feel like it's good to think about that and be appreciative of that because people really felt this in order for them to create an episode this good.
Yeah, I like how they didn't make him do it loads more times. And I wonder whether because they know from that he's done it before, like Jensen can really do these emotional scenes really well. I wonder if they know that and they purposely set up several cameras so that they could only just do it once, knowing he was going to get like if he has to do an emotional scene, he does get into it. But either way, it's either good direction or a coincidence. But he didn't have to keep doing it over and over again, which is good.
It is good.
Yeah. Oh, also, there's a fun fact. There was a deleted scene in the DVD special features for this episode, and I think it's maybe between the final showdown scene and then the scene we've just talked about. But it's interesting because it's just Cass and Uriel walking in a forest. But I thought it was interesting because Destiel was saying that they had orders to let Sam live, and Uriel was getting really angry because he wanted to kill Sam. And then he says, "At least I can kill Ruby." And Cass says they have to leave her too because apparently she has a part to play as well. He says something about her having a part to play, and I was like, "That's actually really interesting." And they cut all of that out, but so they've had orders to let Dean like tell them what to do basically, and not to kill Sam and not to kill Ruby.
Yeah.
And then Uriel gets really annoyed, and Cass basically tells him that he's being disobedient like Anna and implies that he'll have to kill him if he carries on. So I was like, oh, that's actually a really interesting scene that they cut out. So I thought I'd mention
really
it.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's a lot of information.
Very interesting. Because it's also like Cass talking about killing Uriel.
Yeah, so Cass is definitely his boss, if you like.
Yeah.
And he was kind of I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was implying that, this is what Anna was doing, and you know what I'll have to do if you carry on or something.
Yeah, doesn't he compare him to Lucifer? Where he says,
"Oh, I can't
something
remember."
like, Lucifer ignored instructions too, or something like that.
Oh, maybe he definitely compared him to Anna.
Yeah.
But yeah. So even though that was cut, I just thought I'd put it in because it was actually quite informative.
It is very informative. It's very interesting. I love it.
Yeah. So they're not allowed to kill Sam, they're not allowed to kill Ruby.
Yeah. We have our key players.
Yeah.
Do you want to do end of episode games now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Villain hot or not?
I guess the villains of the episodes are probably the angels and
Alistair.
Yeah. Alistair is not hot. He's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Uriel is also creepy. Cass is kind of hot. So you could argue that Cass is a hot villain in this episode, which I think is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Although I don't know if... Oh, no, I suppose he is still a villain. I was like, he's not as villainous as Uriel. Uriel's definitely evil, and he just wants to kill and destroy and stuff. Whereas Cass is a bit more... he seems like the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, no hot villains for me.
None whatsoever. That's sad times.
Episode scare rating?
I didn't give it like an 8.5 or a 9 because it was scary.
I've given it a 7.5, but it's because there's lots of gruesome parts, but especially the torture scene.
Yeah, the torture scene is really horrific.
Alistair's just in general scary, and so is Uriel. Uriel's like chilling and like just angry, scary angry.
Scary angry. A professional assessment. Thank you.
What are your favorite quotes?
Reviews it like, what? Because Dean's laughing. And he says nothing. It's just an angel and demon riding in the backseat. It's like the setup to a bad joke.
Yeah, that's good.
That's my favorite one. It's so funny. What's your favorite line?
I have 3. I had, dude, you're confusing reality with porn again.
Yep.
I had Dean saying, you're stealing my best line. And then my favorite one is Ruby saying, pretty buff for a nerd.
That's such a good one. That's my second favorite line, easily. Easily.
What was your best thirst trap?
It's not like a one set moment thing. It's basically like this. It's not a super slow burn, but there's kind of like this slow build of chemistry between Dean and Anna. And there's a moment where he's like surprised that she's into him. And she's specifically telling him that he's still a good person, even though he's been through all these things and all these things have happened to him. And it's like the romance of the episode for me is the thirst trap. It's like the chemistry between the two of them. There's a particular way that he like looks at her after she tells him those things. And he just kind of unmasks in a way. And I found that really sexy. So that was my thirst trap. It was like Dean being vulnerable. And attracted to Anna.
Yeah, that's how I can see that. Mine was when the angels like burst in, and he instinctively puts an arm across to protect Anna,
like a human shield.
Yeah, human shield moment always.
A giant, muscular, hot human shield. Yeah, I can get behind that too. Approved.
MVP. It's got to be Sam for the plan, right?
Sam with the plan.
Sam's the man with the plan.
The man with the plan, Sam. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because he came up with the idea to get them to fight it out, and they can just duck out of there. Yeah, and there wasn't a motel.
No, just baby.
Yeah, and a barn.
Yeah. I would stay in the barn.
Oh, in the bunker.
I would stay in the bunker.
I'd stay in the bunker.
Stay in the library, and I would also stay in the Impala. So any of the above is fine for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we've done predictions. We've played games. Definitely tell us in the comments your thoughts on this episode. Did you want to see more, like we said before, did you want to see more of Anna and Dean? Did you feel like me? Were you like, wait a second, where's the rest of it? Is there anything that you thought in particular about this episode? Did you guys have thoughts about the torture scene? Let us know in the comments for sure.
Yeah. And don't forget to send us your local lore stories for our Halloween episode.
Yep, definitely do that.
So either on Instagram but we're probably more likely to see it if you email, to be honest. So email thewitchesandletters@gmail.com. We might also see it on Spotify comments, but if it's longer,
you're not really instilling confidence.
What do you mean?
You're like, yeah, we're probably not going to see that.
Well, no, but Instagram's harder to, especially if they're going to send us like a whole thing. But if it's like a shorter, I don't know, just email, just whatever.
In fairness, I usually get notifications of comments on Instagram, but I've noticed that recently with all the changes that they're making, I'm not always being notified. And sometimes like 3 days later, I'll check my comments and there'll be something from like days ago, and it never notified me. So, you know, we would love to hear from you on any platform, but it's probably for the best if you do just email us those stories.
We can keep it more organized then.
Yeah. So pretty please send it in emails. Thank you. I think that's it for us for today. Thank you very much for listening. If you haven't already rated us 5 stars, please do that, because I have a goal where I would love for us to get like 25-star ratings. That would make my whole year. And we're not super far off. So please do that. Tell a friend. Help us out.
That also that's the best way to like support the podcast, because then it gets us seen more on Spotify. Will like push us a bit more.
Yeah, and we're a free podcast. We're not making any money off of this or anything. So like the best way and the easiest way is just those 5-star ratings. Huge and really, really impactful. We're so grateful for everyone who's taking the time to give us a rating. Thank you so much. And with that, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.